Hello, I'm HG Tudor, and welcome to the 100,000 subscriber interviews, a series of short interviews with people who have harnessed my work and seized the power. My guest is ready, so let's find out more about her. Hello, what's your name and where do you come from?
All right, my name is Sammy and I'm currently in East London.
Welcome, Sammy. Thank you for sharing your insights today. Let's dive straight into the questions. Number one, how did you find my work?
I found your work back in 2016 when I was realizing that I was in a relationship with a guy who I thought might have narcissistic personality disorder. And during my research, I came across your blogs and then I arranged to email consult with you about my situation. So that's when I first heard of you back in 2016.
Okay, so some time ago.
Yeah.
You touched on the fact that there was an individual that you suspected might have NPD. Can you expand a little bit on that situation that brought you to my work?
Yes, I was in a relationship with a guy who I'd met in an alternative healing community. And he was like the founder of this community. He was a teacher, he was a healer, I guess like a spiritual guy. And within a very short amount of time, I was in a relationship with this man. He was quite a bit older than me. Anyway, as time was going on, I started to realize that there was another side to this man, and I started to experience all kinds of mental and physical, problems. I started to get very confused. I was feeling quite frightened of him. I couldn't understand how he seemed so amazing, but yet I was feeling so weird and confused within the relationship. And then I started to see the other side of him coming out. And eventually over time, I realized, well, a few people pointed out to me that he could be a narcissist.
Okay. Yeah, I see. And so you've touched on how that situation affected you. And I know that you've read some of my books. Which ones have you read?
Oh, I've read so many of them. I've read No Contact. I've read Fuel. I've read Escape, Revenge, Sitting Target, Sex and the Narcissist, Red Flags. I've read loads of them. Fuel, lots of them.
Excellent.
And Revenge. I think I've mentioned that already, but that's my favourite.
Okay, so, and is that the one that you found most useful or just your favourite?
That's my favourite. The one I found the most useful was Fuel, because it really helped me to understand the energetic exchange that was happening, and that I realised is happening around me quite a lot. But the one I enjoyed was Revenge, just because even though I would never do any of the revenges, I kind of enjoyed the thought of it.
So you've got a vicarious delight from thinking of doing about those things. So, well, that makes perfect sense. Absolutely. And question 6, which product from the Knowledge Vault has helped you the most?
I would say the NARC detectors are probably the most useful thing, and the audio consultations as well. Yeah.
Which segues nicely into our next question about the audio consultation. What made you decide that you would have an audio consultation with me?
I think I kind of wanted to connect with you anyway. I wanted to explore the situation that I was in and figure out how I could navigate it in a way which, was the least harmful for me, but also could achieve what I wanted to, in terms of, when you come out of these entanglements with people, there's things that you need to resolve with them. And so your guidance helped me to come out of it in a way which was the least damaging for me. And also, it was really interesting to discuss it with you and understand what was going on a deeper level.
Good. Now, we've spoken several times, but when it was that first time you were about to speak to me, how did you feel just beforehand?
Really nervous. Really nervous and quite excited, but mainly nervous.
It's interesting. There's a bit of a common thread appearing with that question. People feeling a bit nervous, but also excited. So quite interesting. Yeah. And number 9. So you mentioned about the individual that was the sort of spiritual guru and the alternative lifestyle individual. Where are you now with regard to that situation?
Oh, completely over it. I mean, that's like ancient history now. Been no contact with that individual for like maybe five or 6 years. But I've since gone on to have a number of other entanglements with intimate relationships that have turned out to be narcissists, but also friendships, working relationships. I guess I was listening to one of your videos this morning, you were talking about if you're an empath, this is attracted to you. I have it all around me.
Indeed. And without going into what it is that you do, I do know that the field that you have your profession in is very much a hunting ground. So you're surrounded left, right, and centre by my kind. So it's understandable. And overall, what part of my work do you feel has helped you the most, and why?
It's very difficult to say one specific thing because I've got so much out of the narc detectors, and I really appreciate the audio consultations, but I actually really love listening to your videos. I listen to them all the time. I guess I have an addiction to them on some level, but I just find them so unbelievably useful. And as someone who's really fascinated in the subject anyway, aside from my own relationship to it, I think it's the most fascinating subject in the world. And so I love listening to your videos. And every time I listen, I hear something new. And yeah, like I heard you doing a talk this morning, and you were saying when you go back and listen to them again after a year, you hear something new. So I go to your channel every day, and if there isn't anything new, I will go and find an old video to listen to because I just enjoy the subject matter so much and find it so informative.
Oh, I appreciate you doing so and keeping my views up. So thanks for doing that.
My pleasure.
Now, question 11. What would you like to learn more about?
Well, I think I'm starting to get a really in-depth understanding of narcissism and what creates it and what forms it. I think where I'm at now is I'd really like to understand how empaths are formed and a bit more about empaths. Yeah, because that's the opposite end of that. I know it's not on the same spectrum, but it's the opposite end of that dynamic. And so I'm intrigued about that at the moment.
Okay. And mentioning empaths, do you identify as an empath? And if so, what's your school and what's your cadre?
Well, through your own empath detector, I have been, I'm a majority super empath with a majority magnet with a bit of savior and carrier, I think is.
Yeah. Well, you need to watch out. Those are the specifications that I go for. So
I know.
you need to keep your distance. 13. So overall, with what you've learned and you've immersed yourself in my work and embraced the books and videos, etc., what do you think of narcissists now?
I think what I think of narcissists now is I have a healthy respect for the dynamic. I know that narcissists are problematic, but I also have learned not to take it personally. And so I do find myself in these entanglements now. I can recognize it a lot sooner, and I don't take it personally. I understand why they're attracted to me, and I understand why I'm attracted to them, and I can take a lot of the emotion out of it and apply the logic that I need as a result of using your work, and also, working with my own trauma and my own, understanding myself. So I don't really have a judgment on it. I'm actually just really interested in it.
So it's moved more to the academic now. Very good.
Yeah.
You've spoken, Sammy, about what you found useful about my work, but what's a favourite aspect of the work overall? I
think because of where I've got to in my own journey and relationship with the subject matter now, I appreciate your humour about it, because I think it's such a dark and difficult subject, especially when you're first in it and you first wake up to this thing, which is this narcissistic world that, until you have that key that unlocks this information for you, you go on this huge journey of realizing so much of what you think about the world isn't true or isn't real, and this whole new thing is going on. And so it's really great to be at a place now where I can appreciate it with a sense of humor, and I think you really bring that into this world of information, and I really value that because we have to be able to laugh about stuff.
Indeed, I often say that entertaining education, it sinks in more effectively. So I'm pleased that you find that resonates with you. And finally, Sammy, what's your message to people listening?
My message is to really educate yourself around this subject from, good sources where you're getting accurate information like HG, and to, if you can, use it as a catalyst for your own transformation. Narcissists and psychopaths are only ever manipulating you through your own vulnerabilities, and so once you realize that they're triggering your unconscious trauma, you can use that unconscious trauma that's being triggered and you can release it, so you can actually turn the situation into one which is a really positive one for you, and you don't have to remain in victimhood.
Sage observations indeed, and an uplifting note. Sammy from East London, thank you for joining me and sharing your observations. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for asking me.